Have you ever felt like you're constantly shrinking just to keep the peace, only to still be disrespected anyway? What if the way people treat you isn't about who you are, but what you allow? And what if the power to change all of that starts with one bold decision, to stop tolerating disrespect? Let's not waste time. Let's go straight to the heart of it. Dealing with people who don't respect you, whether they're colleagues, friends, or even family members, is one of the most infuriating, soul-draining experiences you'll ever face. And it's not just about the moment they say something condescending or dismissive. It's about what it does to your confidence, to your peace, to the way you see yourself. Because let's be honest, disrespect doesn't just hurt. It echoes. It replays in your head when you're trying to sleep. It sits in your chest like a weight during your workday. It makes you question, am I the problem? Am I too sensitive? Am I just imagining things? Let me tell you something I've learned the hard way. You're not imagining it. And no, you're not too sensitive. You're just waking up to the fact that tolerating disrespect isn't a virtue. It's a slow erosion of your dignity. I've been there myself. I've smiled through meetings where my voice was ignored. I've stayed quiet in conversations where I was mocked, hoping that maybe they'd respect me more if I didn't make a scene. I thought that if I was kind enough, patient enough, respectful enough, they'd see my worth. Spoiler alert, they didn't. And they never will, until you draw the line. Here's the truth, clear and simple. You do not have to tolerate disrespect. Not from your boss, not from your friend, not from your parent, not from your spouse, not from anyone. And the moment you decide to stop accepting it, everything changes. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 8 real, raw, and brutally honest strategies to handle people who don't respect you. But fair warning, these aren't sugar-coated, feel-good tips designed to help you rise above while secretly staying in the same powerless position. No, these are hard truths. Tough love strategies rooted in Stoic wisdom, life experience, and a deep understanding of human nature. I'm not here to tell you to ignore the pain. I'm here to give you the tools to face it and to do something about it. If you've ever found yourself begging the respect you already deserve, if you've ever felt invisible in rooms you should have been honored to be in, if you're done being the nice person who keeps getting overlooked, talked over, and taken for granted, then stay with me. Because by the time we're done here, you won't just know how to respond, you'll know how to rise. Strategy 1. Set clear boundaries and enforce them. Let's start with the foundation. The very first step in dealing with disrespectful people is this. You must set clear, firm boundaries. Not vague ones, not hopeful ones. Crystal clear, unapologetic, unmistakable boundaries. And here's the kicker. Most people don't actually know what their boundaries are. They know they feel uncomfortable, but they've never taken the time to define what's okay and what absolutely isn't. Boundaries are not about being aggressive, they're about clarity. They are your invisible fence, protecting your peace, your time, your energy, and your self-worth. And guess what? People will treat you the way you teach them to treat you. If you constantly allow someone to talk over you, interrupt you, or mock you without consequences, they will keep doing it. Not because they're evil, but because you've shown them it's okay. I learned this through pain. I once worked in an environment where a team member regularly talked down to me. I laughed it off. I didn't want to cause trouble. I kept telling myself, it's not a big deal. Until one day it was. I broke down after work. I realized I was mad at them, but also mad at myself, because I never once told them to stop. So I did. The next time they crossed the line, I looked them in the eye and said, "Hey, I'm asking you respectfully, don't speak to me that way again." And just like that, the atmosphere shifted. Sure, it was uncomfortable, but growth always is. So how do you set boundaries that actually work? First, identify the behavior that crosses the line. Then decide how you want to respond the next time it happens. Finally, communicate it clearly, calmly, and directly. For example, I value respectful conversations. Please don't interrupt me when I'm speaking. Or, I'm not comfortable with that kind of joke. Please don't make it again. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to be clear. Because here's a little truth bomb. You don't earn respect by staying silent. You earn it by speaking up, even if your voice trembles the first time. Strategy 2. Don't engage in power struggles. Here's where it gets tricky. Some people disrespect you on purpose, not because they hate you, but because it gives them a sense of control. They know what buttons to push. They know how to twist your words. They enjoy seeing you squirm, lose your temper, or doubt yourself. Why? Because your reaction feeds their ego. Because the moment you lose your composure, they feel superior. It's a game to them. But you don't have to play. I had someone like this in my life. Every conversation was a trap. If I stayed quiet, they mocked me for being passive. If I spoke up, they accused me of being too emotional. No matter what I did, it was wrong. Until I realized this wasn't about truth. It was about control. So I stopped engaging. I didn't argue. I didn't defend. I didn't try to win. Instead, I responded with calm clarity and walked away from the drama. Let me be clear. Not every insult deserves a comeback. Not every provocation deserves a reaction. Sometimes silence is louder than any word you could say. Sometimes walking away is the most powerful thing you can do. Because here's the truth. The person who keeps their peace in the face of provocation, that's the person who wins. We ended the last part by reclaiming your emotional power, choosing calm over chaos when someone tries to drag you into a power struggle. Now let's go a little deeper into how to hold that power and protect your peace at all costs. Strategy 2 continued. Master your emotions. Don't let them play. You see, when you react emotionally, whether it's through defensiveness, frustration, anger, or sadness, you're stepping into their arena. You're playing their game by their rules. And guess what? They know how to win it. Disrespectful people often feed off your emotional responses. The more you react, the more they manipulate. The more upset you get, the more they feel in control. It's like handing them the remote to your emotions and saying, here, press whatever button you want. But when you choose calm, when you breathe deep and stay composed, it disarms them. It flips the script. You send a message, you don't get to control how I feel. You don't have that kind of access to me. And that kind of composure, that rattles them more than any comeback ever could. Remember this quote from Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Make that your mantra. Frame it, repeat it, tattoo it in your mindset, because that realization changes everything. You can't always control what people say or do, but you always have control over how you respond. So the next time someone disrespects you, pause. Don't argue. Don't explain. Don't try to win. Just stay calm. Respond logically if needed, and then disengage. If necessary, walk away. Not in weakness, but in strength, because sometimes walking away isn't retreat, it's self-respect. Strategy 3. Limit your exposure to them. Here's a truth most people ignore. You don't have to stay in the room with someone who disrespects you. Yes, there are situations where cutting someone off entirely isn't possible. Maybe it's a coworker, a parent, a sibling, a classmate. But while you might not have the power to erase them from your world, you absolutely have the power to limit how much of your world they get access to. I used to think I had to just tough it out when it came to certain people. I thought that because I couldn't fully avoid them, I had no choice but to absorb the disrespect. But here's what I discovered. Something that changed the way I move through life. You don't have to eliminate them. You just have to minimize their impact. At work, keep it professional and brief. No small talk. No emotional investment. Just what's necessary. With friends or family, you don't owe everyone full access to your time, your energy, or your presence. You don't need to attend every gathering. You don't need to respond to every text. You don't even need to explain yourself. You just quietly begin to protect your peace, one small choice at a time. Because the more time you spend around people who tear you down, the harder it becomes to hear your own worth. Toxic people don't just hurt you with their words, they drain you, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And if you don't guard your space, they will fill it with their noise. You don't need to post a dramatic exit speech. You don't need to confront them with a "we need to talk" moment. You just need to start choosing peace over presence. Step back. Breathe. Choose where your energy goes, because where your energy flows, your life follows. Strategy 4. Respond with silence. Not every insult deserves a reply. Not every slight needs a speech, and not every battle is yours to fight. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing at all. Let me be clear. This isn't about being passive. It's about being strategic. Disrespectful people often want to provoke a reaction. They want the argument. They want the drama. They want to pull you down into their level of petty conflict. But when you respond with silence, you rob them of the chaos they crave. They throw the match and you don't burn. You just stand still, calm, unshaken, untouched. There is immense strength in silence. It's not weakness. It's wisdom. And it's deeply unsettling to someone who's used to manipulating others with noise. Next time someone throws shade or makes a rude comment meant to provoke you, try this. Just pause. Breathe, say nothing. Let the silence sit in the air. Let them feel it. Let them stew in it. Let the weight of their own words return to them, without your energy giving it life. You'll be amazed how unsettling silence can be to someone who expected you to react. And you'll find over time that silence doesn't just protect your peace, it asserts your power. Strategy 5. Don't take it personally. Now, let's get to one of the hardest but most liberating truths. Most of the time, other people's disrespect has nothing to do with you, and everything to do with them. Read that again, because internalizing this truth can set you free. People project. They lash out from their own pain. They belittle because they feel small. They criticize because they're drowning in insecurity. They ignore you because they crave attention themselves. But if you absorb all of that as a reflection of your worth, you'll spend your life carrying their baggage as if it were your own. Here's the deal. What they said, not your truth. How they treated you, not your fault. You don't have to carry their immaturity. You don't have to internalize their brokenness. Someone's lack of respect is a mirror of their own character, not a judgment of yours. When you can separate their behavior from your identity, you become untouchable. You stop trying to fix them. You stop trying to please them. And you start protecting your peace without guilt. So next time you hear that cutting remark, next time someone gives you the cold shoulder, pause and ask yourself, is this about me, or is this about something broken in them? More often than not, it's the latter. And when you see it for what it is, you'll stop bleeding for wounds that don't belong to you. Once you stop reacting to their noise and start protecting your energy, you reclaim something priceless, your peace. But to truly live in that peace, you have to stop taking disrespect so personally. Strategy 5 continued. Don't take it personally. It's not about you. When someone disrespects you, it cuts deep. It feels like a direct attack on who you are. Like their coldness, their sarcasm, or their passive-aggressive comments must mean you did something wrong. But here's the hard truth, one that can set you free. Their disrespect says far more about them than it ever says about you. It's a mirror, not a verdict. Most of the time, people aren't reacting to you. They're projecting something from within themselves. Their insecurities, their frustrations, their jealousy, their unhealed wounds. You might just be the most convenient target for what they're too afraid to face in their own life. I remember a season where I overanalyzed everything, every glance, every offhand comment. I'd go home thinking, did I say something wrong? Did I offend them? Did I fail somehow? But the truth was, I hadn't failed. I wasn't the problem. They were simply bleeding on someone who didn't cut them. When I stopped internalizing every slight and started seeing their behavior for what it was, a reflection of them, not a measure of me, a huge burden lifted. I no longer carried the weight of their moods. I stopped making excuses for them. I stopped apologizing for existing. It was like stepping out of a fog and realizing, wait, I'm not broken. I've just been absorbing someone else's brokenness. And from that place of clarity, I found freedom. So next time someone disrespects you, pause and tell yourself, this is not a statement about my worth. This is a reflection of their unresolved mess. That shift won't just help you survive it. It'll help you walk through it with dignity intact. You decide how much access they get to your emotions, and the moment you stop taking it personally, you take your power back. Strategy 6. Walk away when necessary. Sometimes the strongest thing you can say is nothing, and the strongest thing you can do is leave. If someone constantly disrespects you, you don't owe them endless chances. You don't have to prove how tough you are by staying in the fire longer than you need to. Disrespect, when left unchecked, doesn't just hurt your feelings, it starts to eat away at your identity. It whispers lies like, maybe you deserve this. And over time, you start to believe them. But hear me. You don't have to stay in any environment where your worth is under attack. Not to be polite, not to keep the peace, not to look strong, not to avoid awkwardness. Walking away isn't giving up, it's waking up. It's choosing to protect your heart, your mind, and your future. It's saying, I love myself enough to remove myself from what's breaking me. I used to think walking away meant I'd lost the fight. That maybe I wasn't brave enough to stay and fix it. But what I learned is this. You can't fix what someone else refuses to acknowledge, and sometimes the bravest thing you can do is leave anyway. And when I started doing that, quietly stepping away from people and places that dishonored me, I didn't feel weak. I felt powerful. I felt lighter. I felt free. Walking away doesn't always mean slamming the door. It might look like choosing not to respond to the text, or declining the invite, or gradually creating space in the relationship. In some cases, it means ending it altogether, leaving that job, cutting ties with that friend, or stepping out of that relationship. These choices aren't easy. They come with grief, discomfort, and doubt. But you know what they also bring? Peace, clarity, healing. When you walk away from what disrespects you, you walk toward the life you actually deserve. You send a clear message. I am not available for mistreatment. I will no longer shrink for anyone's comfort. My peace is my priority. Strategy 7. Surround yourself with supportive people. Here's a simple truth that we often forget. You weren't meant to carry all of this alone. Dealing with constant disrespect drains you, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. When you're constantly having to defend your worth, prove your value, or explain your boundaries, it leaves you feeling worn out and isolated. That's why community matters. The right people can breathe life back into your tired soul. They remind you of who you are, especially when disrespect has tried to make you forget. They see you, honor you, speak truth over you. I used to think I had to be strong on my own, that asking for support was weakness, that needing validation meant I was insecure. But over time I realized, even the strongest warriors need a safe camp. You need people who will hold space for your story, who will say you're not crazy, who will remind you you deserve better, who will stand with you when you're ready to walk away. So take inventory of your circle. Who builds you up? Who drains you dry? Who challenges you with love? And who cuts you down with sarcasm? Choose wisely. Because the people you surround yourself with will either reinforce your worth or slowly unravel it. You become like the voices you allow closest to your heart. So let those voices be kind. Let them be honest. Let them be full of respect. You are not meant to constantly fight for love or value. You are meant to live surrounded by it. Surrounding yourself with people who uplift you isn't just helpful, it's essential. And when you're fighting silent battles of disrespect, that kind of support can be the difference between burnout and breakthrough. Strategy 7 continued. Let your circle reflect your worth. A strong support system isn't a luxury, it's a life raft. It's the voice that says, you matter, when someone else tries to make you feel invisible. It's the presence that reminds you of your strength when you've forgotten your own reflection. I can't stress this enough. Having people who truly care about your well-being is a game changer. During the most emotionally draining seasons of my life, when I felt belittled, dismissed, and broken down by others, it was my close circle, my friends, my family, who reminded me that I was worth far more than the way I was being treated. They listened. They validated my feelings without judgment. They didn't tell me to just get over it or be the bigger person. They reminded me of who I was, even when I had forgotten. And sometimes that reminder is the most healing gift anyone can offer. There were moments I didn't feel strong enough to walk away from disrespect. But knowing that I had people in my corner, people who genuinely wanted to see me thrive, that gave me the courage to take the hard steps. And most importantly, it took the guilt away. You see, when you're constantly disrespected, it messes with your perception. You start to think maybe you're asking for too much. Maybe you're too sensitive. Maybe this is just how people are. But when your circle is filled with people who reflect love, honor, and dignity, you start to see the contrast. You start to realize, wait, respect isn't rare. I've just been looking in the wrong places. That realization alone can rebuild confidence. Over time, that kind of environment strengthens you. It helps you build the inner fortitude to face future disrespect with unwavering resolve. You don't crumble as easily. You don't question yourself as much. Because you have a foundation of truth around you. Your support system becomes your mirror, showing you your worth until you can see it for yourself again. And yes, sometimes building that kind of circle requires pruning. It means letting go of toxic relationships, even if they're long-standing. It means setting limits, not out of malice, but out of love for yourself. But it's worth it. Because as the saying goes, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So ask yourself, are those 5 lifting you up or tearing you down? Choose wisely, because your peace depends on it. Final thoughts. You set the standard. Let's be real. Handling disrespect is never easy. It tests your patience, it challenges your confidence, and in some cases it can feel like a slow erosion of your spirit. But here's what you need to remember above everything else. The way people treat you says more about them than it ever says about you. But the way you respond, that says everything about the standard you set for yourself. You have options. You can set boundaries. You can walk away. You can speak up. You can choose not to engage. You don't need to tolerate behavior that chips away at your dignity. You don't need to stay silent to keep the peace, especially when that silence is costing you your self-worth. The key takeaway is simple, but powerful. You deserve kindness. You deserve respect. You deserve to feel safe in your relationships. And if someone can't give you that, then you owe it to yourself to protect your peace. Because peace isn't just the absence of conflict, it's the presence of clarity. Clarity that says, open quote, this is how I expect to be treated, and anything less, I will not accept. Close quote. So as you go forward, I encourage you, surround yourself with those who uplift you. Remove yourself from what diminishes you. And most importantly, decide today that you will no longer apologize for expecting basic human decency. Disrespect may still come your way, but you'll be stronger, wiser, more grounded, more prepared. You'll have the tools that bound the community to handle it with grace and with power. Closing call to action. If today's message spoke to something deep inside you, if it reminded you of your strength, your worth, or your right to be respected, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video so more people can find it. Comment below with your thoughts or share a time when you had to reclaim your power. Subscribe for more real, honest conversations that help you grow stronger in who you are. Let's build a community of respect, where we stand tall, lift each other up, and never settle for less than what we're worth. Stay strong, stay grounded, and always, always choose yourself.